everyone, this is Star Zenith 33 Laura Francesca here at the Astroweather Celestial Clockwork, where I'm going to be talking about the podcast here about the astroweather, the planets, the stars, the asteroids, which I love. And I'm going to be talking about predictions and exciting things, shifts that are happening that impact our lives and how we decide and how we make decisions towards an ROI, right? We want the return on investments in everything that we do. And we don't just want to do things just because, right? And so I'm going to be explaining all of that in the Astroweather, and it's very, very exciting, okay? So join me. So here we are. And I am going to be talking about here of what is going on. I am very excited, by the way. I am drinking my coffee. You can hear here. My bulletproof coffee. I just really love how I make my coffee. I bought this edible gold, this powdery. It was not powdery. It's kind of like a shimmery. It looks kind of actually. It's like a little jar. It looks like makeup, but it's not. It's edible gold, and you squirt some on the coffee, and this kind of like fairy dust lands in the coffee, and it makes my coffee gold. I don't know. I've never been to New York, but I hear that if there's some places, not if, but some locations in New York. I think also in Saudi Arabia they do that. It's so elegant and so luxurious. And but in New York, there's this coffee place. I would love to visit there. I don't know if it's inside a hotel or if it's just a coffee location. There, a place where you go in there and you order coffee, and you can order gold coffee, and then they put like a little heart, or they put like little leaves on there and stuff, and it just looks so luxurious, right? And so I seen this little bottle, and I never really paid attention. I'm like, I've always wanted gold coffee. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna buy it. And it doesn't taste like nothing. It just makes it gold. But you mix it in with, I put creamer and all that because I can't have my coffee without creamer. I cannot drink black coffee. I don't know how you guys do it. Like other people that they're black coffee drinkers, like it just does not taste good to me. It tastes like medicine, but I need to have my creamer, or some milk in there. But I love creamer because I love, like, the caramel taste on it. And then I use my frother, and it looks very luxurious. So I'm drinking in my Feeling Lucky cup. So anyway, let me take a drink here because we have a lot to talk about. So that I'm very, very excited. I'm finally, I'm in this rhythm of doing consistently the Astroweather. Is usually, my schedule gets very bombarded towards the first week of the month. And, I have a lot of appointments to go. I have a lot of things to do. And but I do want to, prioritize podcasting because it is very, very important because I do it in two languages. For those that don't know, if you do understand the Spanish language, you can also head out there to my Spanish podcast, which is called the Astroclima Reloj Celestial, which is the same thing as clockwork, the Astroweather Celestial Clockwork. So, and everything I say here, I translate it in Spanish. And sometimes I can have new information in Spanish that I didn't say in the English. And that's what happens, Normally, like it's for an example, if you give an interview and then, you have to redo it, or something happened with technology and it didn't work out, you got to retake, right? And usually, you'll do a retake and it's not going to be the same information, right? It's like, oh, I forgot to say that. I was supposed to say that, right? Oh, well, I guess I'm gonna go this way, you know. So it's something like that when I do talk in Spanish. I didn't mention it in the English, but now I am in Spanish. So if you do know Spanish, then it's a great goodie for you, right? Because not only will you listen on the English portion, but you also listen on the Spanish portion that maybe I didn't talk about in the English portion. So, or if you want to learn Spanish, right, you can listen to the Spanish one as well. So anyway, let's jump in here. Speaking of languages, okay, the moon is in Sagittarius, okay? Now, the moon in Sagittarius, we know it has to do with countries, international affairs. It has to do with luck and expansion and philosophy and higher learning, okay? It rules the gurus, it rules the teachers, the professors on a higher level. And so where the moon is right now at 27 degrees, which I'm not surprised why I woke up super early, you know. I believe anybody that has fire, whether it's your sun, moon, or rising, or anywhere in, but especially with the moon because it's how we feel. Okay. And when the moon is there in a fire sign, most likely you're going to wake up really early, you know. And I do plan on waking up early. It's just I did redo my bedroom and it's very hotel. The vibe is very, very like if you're in a fancy hotel and it's very comfortable. Okay. And on top of that, I do got a Dozy Boy pillow. I gotta say, I'm not sponsored by them or nothing, but you guys have been hearing me talk about it. And, it's that chiropractic pillow that just once you put your head down, that's it. You're gonna knock out. You're gonna, go to sleep, or you're just gonna rest. And so I sleep on it, right? And but I'm trying to wake up early. And today there was no issue with that because it is a fire moon Sagittarius. So right now at 27 degrees of communication. So I did my coffee. I meditated. I was looking out at the sky, you know, and from my balcony, and just talking to God and so forth. And so I'm in a good space right now, by the way. I am in a really good space. I'm very grateful, okay? Um, you know, we can't always be super happy, but I am just in gratitude, And there are times when we're going to be happy, and there's times that we're not going to be happy. And I'm just in the middle ground where I am content. I am in gratitude. I am not comfortable. Okay. I'm not in my comfort zone where I don't like being in a comfort zone anyway. I always like to challenge myself. I don't just challenge myself, but I also challenge other people. I challenge other people to level up, that is why I'm here. I'm a 33-6, by the way, life path. For those that do know, 33s are the teachers. They're the ones that came here to teach other people and elevate people. Okay. And you elevated because you're here to elevate others, to bring culture and, have this purpose that is not just about you, it is about the collective, right? But it first starts with you, right? Because if it doesn't happen with you, it's not going to happen with nobody. And that's how 33s, how the impact, we're the highest influencers that they are. Okay. And we're at the top of the food chain, or the very highest, of numerology when we're talking about 33s. And then 6, it has to do with love, it has to do with caretaking, it has to do with service, okay, it has to do with families and so forth. You would be considered like the bread and butter. If you're a 6, you would be considered the father or the mother. Of taking care of the family. Or if you don't have children, it just means you're the bread and butter of your family. People rely on you to get them out of binds, situations, and so forth. I know my family does. My immediate family that I live with, and I'm always, you know, bailing people out. But that's part of the 6. Okay, you got to be responsible. It is about responsibility. Okay, so I don't know why I had to talk about that, but I guess I'm just blabbing away. I have not talked. Oh yeah, because I said I'm in a good space, right? And I am in a good space. But I'm not comfortable. Okay, I'm not where I want to be yet. But I'm in a really good space where I'm actually excited. The horse year is coming in. It is a really great year for oxes. I'm an ox, but I guess I just feel in a really good space because I have a lot of the things that I wanted to pay off. They're paid off. Um, for this month at least, like I don't owe anything, everything's like paid off and it feels good, I did cut off some things because, I am budgeting. I did cut off some apps and some subscriptions that I don't need. And so that has brought more space to invest in things that I do need. And so I'm working in the, of having stability and security in my life, and only investing in things that are wise and things that I'm going to need and things that are going to give me my ROI, okay, which is a return on investment. So the moon in Sagittarius at the communication degree of 27. Let's see what's going on there. I see a couple asteroids there. And where the moon is in the 10th house, okay? 10th house of public participation. And the motto there is I relate with the world, okay? So, what is going on with the 10th house? It has to do with your career, your profession, your reputation, how you stand out in a community, in society. It also rules status, fame, and the way you achieve recognition, okay, and ambition and promotions, and the carrying out of responsibilities, okay. It covers anything with authority and having to deal with authority, with employees, with the public sector. 10,000 Matters also includes achievements, okay, and how the world sees and evaluates us, okay, our position in life, and also over the importance with the world, okay, the desire for or lack of power, the influence we exert in our circles, our relationships, from political to business to power structures, corporations, governments, um, all of that, okay? And so when it's in the sign of Sagittarius, it has to do with anything international. And, I'm not trying to get into the whole Epstein thing, but that's a big major distraction going on. I know it does matter because there was a lot of people that were hurt in this whole situation, involving, especially, it was going to come out, very powerful, powerful people involved. And a lot of them is your barber, a lot of them is your pastor, a lot of them is the teacher, a lot of them is the bus driver, a lot of them, it could have been like a billionaire and it just, now it's driving a bus, but it was part of the list. It could be anybody. And so the point is that whether they were in the list or not, like, that's none of my business, but you know they all were part of that circle, and it's being exposed and people are talking about it. And I'm hearing the word cleanliness. There needs to be a cleanliness. Yeah, I do feel that. I do really feel that. You know, um, I've been doing a lot of that myself, and I'm clean. You know, I don't spread myself like that. You know what I mean? I don't do none of that. And so all I do is just, do my work and care for my parents. And I don't, I just don't, I don't, it's a scary world out there. I'm not trying to get no diseases and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I'm hearing the word cleanliness. So there has to be a cleanliness. And purity. The color white has been, for me, it has been pointing out to me. Um, I'm using a lot of white, lately. I actually bought me an iPhone cover. I'm always buying some, and I don't know what strike me for me to buy a white cover, and I did, and I don't know what it was. As soon as I took the other orange cover out, that was like a fake Louis Vuitton, right? I felt like cursed with that for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe because it's fake, right? I don't know. I feel like there was a lot of evil eye on that. And so I threw that to the trash. And because it was already peeling from the side anyway, because it's fake, it's plastically, but something attracted me to a white cover, just plain white. And so I put it on the phone. And I don't know. There was this feel, this frequency of like, this is better, And it just felt, my phone looks clean and it looks, I wanted to, you could still see the orangey, the circles in the back, but it looks pretty good. I love how it looks, very aesthetically clean, and it looks, uh, very luxurious as well. White can be very luxurious. And so I don't know. I love it. I love the feel. I just needed a different cover. So anyway, talking about that, but as far as that goes into the whole cleanliness, I guess. But I feel luxurious. I feel really good. I feel balanced. I feel I'm just like ready. It could be a lot of could be in astrology on my chart, but I just feel right now like ready to, I feel like a horse right now. But I'm feeling really good. Like I said, I haven't felt like this for a while, for a long time. And I do think that it has to do with the astrology on my chart. And we'll talk a little bit on that. Um, but, I'm just feeling good, without having to say too much, but I'm just feeling, I don't know, I just feel like I'm debt free. I feel like I've paid off a lot of things that I don't have to worry throughout the whole year. And I'm also excited that I got back my website. So I finally was able to, get my domain, which I did not want to lose, which is the www.starzenith33.com. Um, I finally connected it, to the new website that I'm working on. So if you go there, it's not completed yet, okay? But it's valid. It's already, if you do click on it, you could see at least the beginning portion of it, but it's still not completed, so I would not even go there yet. Um, I am going to complete it before the year of the horse, so I'm actually within the next 48 hours. I don't really have a whole lot more to complete. It's very AI website, so very quickly, and I do want to pump it out there, So I'm very excited about that. I'm like, I was able to do it by myself, because normally I was like, oh, I do not want to call GoDaddy. Last time I had on the other old website that I had to call GoDaddy. I was on almost an hour with them on the phone, you know, and it's just like switching like the domain, technical stuff, and this time I did it by myself. I was like, wow. So it was very easy to do. So I love that, and a lot of the capability because of AI as well. So very happy for that. And finally, it got linked. It takes about 24 hours to click the domain back in there. And so I was able to do that. So I'm very happy about that. And so, yeah, we're up and running for at least for the whole year and see where it goes for those that want to book appointments. Okay, of any charts. It could be your solar chart, it could be your natal chart, it could be your birth chart, it could be astrocartography chart. Okay, which is if you're going to travel somewhere, you're going to relocate to a new area, a new town, it's good to know how you're compatible with that area, right? Because if you're living in a Saturnian area, most likely you're going to gain weight. Most likely, you're going to have problems with the police. Most likely you're not going to be as creative. Most likely you're going to be stuck indoors, or hiding somewhere, or feeling like you're in jail, because that's what it feels like, or having to follow the rules, right? Which stifles your creativity. But if you live more like in a Venus area or Jupiter area, Venus, people will love you. If it's in the Jupiter area, you're going to have way more luck, opportunities, gifts given to you, all of that. And so, or you're going to travel more, which is so interesting, I do have to say, because when I lived in Arizona, this was like 20 something years ago, and I moved to Arizona and for career, a new job. And I didn't know back then astrology, okay? I didn't know astrocartography, nothing, nothing of what I know now. And so my growth has expanded a lot. But when I moved there, I didn't know that I was living on the Jupiter area, okay? The Jupiter line in Arizona, a certain part in Arizona there, which was called Awatuki, which is right next to Tempe and Chandler, for those that know Arizona. It's not downtown Arizona, Phoenix. It was more over here. Awatuki is more, it's a more elevated place over here by Tempe, very college and so forth. And so when I moved there, I was living on the Jupiter area. And the first day that I started working at the company, I was getting so many gifts. Like the first day too, they had a luau party, and well, actually, it was the next day, but they said, "Oh, dress in a luau, buy yourself a Hawaiian shirt or a tank top or something or a dress, and just wear the outfit we'll give you here, like all the little layout lays and stuff like that." So it was like a fun party, and I was like, wow, they have these parties here. It was very like fun and partying, and it was an Asian company, but that's what happens when you work in a corporate setting, that they like to have fun too. It's not just all about work. And on that day, they were raffling a lot of like big technology items, and I was winning all of them. And everybody thought I was cheating. I was like, no, they just keep picking my number. It was like the lottery. And I just kept, winning and winning. And I was laughing because I kept winning. That's very Jupiter. And they were not being mean, or they were like, hey, she's cheating. And I said, well, put my name back in there and let's see what comes out. And they would always pick my name out. So it was a frequency, right? And that's what's happening when your line of Jupiter is crossing a location. All of a sudden, you're getting like really lucky. And also, not only that, it also rules travel. Okay. So if you do live on the line of Jupiter, most likely you're going to be doing a lot of traveling, even if it's short travel. You were going to do a lot of traveling. And I did when I lived in Arizona, I was doing a lot of traveling. Okay. A lot. I even had a boyfriend in Tucson. He was in the army or something like that, in the military. And, he invited me to his camp somewhere in Tucson, and of where he was staying, like his little place. It's it's like a camp for all military. It was something fascinating. I've never been into his little camps, and he had his own place, his own little apartment, and they all the military people live there. So you do have to have like an ID and all that stuff, and they have their own little supermarket in there as well and stuff like that. It was very interesting. And so I was dating him for a while, and we were traveling. We were traveling. We went to this little part past, like kind of close in Mexico. It was like Cancun, and it was past Sonora, and it was. I didn't know. I was like, wow, this looks like Cancun. And it was more past Tucson. So I did a lot of little adventures like that. I went to Sedona as well, and I was traveling back to my hometown to visit my parents. So like I said, when Jupiter is crossing the line, most likely you're going to be doing a lot of traveling, and so I like that, when you do have Jupiter crossing there. So um, now, if you do have Mars, you're probably going to get into a lot of competition. There's going to be a lot of wars going on, and stuff like that in your life, right? Having to overcome things. I don't like really Mars unless like you're competing for a position, unless you're trying to be a CEO or something like that, and you know, anything like that, right? So, but it's good because it makes you be a go-getter, and be in action, and you could get fame out of that as well, but first you have to go through the hurdles. You gotta stand up for yourself. You gotta defend yourself. You gotta be very Mars, and with leadership, but I already went through all of that stuff. So anyway, so the moon in Sagittarius, and the reason I explain that is because if you guys want to book, and like I said, an astrocartography reading with me, where I can look at your birth chart and the location where you want to move, or you just are traveling to that location, I could tell, okay, it's a good time to, go there, or you have Pluto there, so just watch out for thieves, watch out for, um, unexpected things that might happen with police, and sometimes when you don't know that, you just travel and then you get into trouble. You might end up in jail. You might end up who knows where, and so, or you might have like flat tires, and you want to avoid all of that. So in the chart, we can see all that. So and that's coming up soon in the website. Okay, like I said, I would say maybe by the end of this week, it should be up and running. I would say within the next 48 hours, to tell you the truth. But anyway, so the moon in Sagittarius, it's about communication right now, and it's in the 10th house of elevation. And I have, let me look at this asteroid here. It's conjuncting here Moni. Okay, so Moni is a asteroid of money. Okay, and I really like Moni because it's a lot of money. Okay, it's a lot of money, bringing in a lot of money into your life, and it's at 28 degrees of ancestors. Okay, we also have this other asteroid of Christian, okay, which literally is Christianity. It is beliefs, it is God, Jesus Christ, and it's at 22 degrees. It's a master degree, okay, and it is coming together with the moon right now with how we feel about our Christian beliefs, okay. Um, because it's at 22 degrees of Capricorn, it could be a little bit too structured, I would say. It would be too much about rules, Um, in the sign of Sagittarius, which Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. So Jupiter is about many beliefs. So there could be some issues going on right now, whether what you believe is to be true, or whether you're being critical of other people, of what they believe, right? And it could be, that's the thing about this, is why there's a lot of flack with Christians, because they see them as very judgmental, you know, when none of us are perfect, especially them. And I say I'm Christian myself, but I'm saying the people that are out there placing judgment on others, like, who made you so holy thy? You know what I mean? And understand that everybody has flaws and everybody has issues, and we're not here to judge people. We're here to love people. And if you cannot accept how somebody is living, then that's fine. You know, do not accept it, right? But if you think you're a holy guy, and you're judging other people, this is why they criticize a lot of Christians, because they see them like they're too strict, they're too, you know, it has to be this way and it has to be this way, And in Sagittarius, it's like, no, it does not have to be that way. Sagittarius rules many countries. And it's how we're feeling with the moon or how we're communicating. Um, this is why there's another thing too of, like when you are talking about God or talking about Jesus to other people, right? Um, it's like when you're talking to other people, some people maybe they want to convert them, you know, and a lot of those people, like they're very forceful, or let's say, man, you need Jesus in your life, you need God in your life, and they're living totally the opposite, and they're not being exemplary. That's the word, exemplary. They're not being exemplary of what it means to be a good Christian, right? And that's not how you convert people. You convert people when you love people, not when you're being judgmental, and you know I'm not here in the business of convincing and converting. you know all I do is just show love, and be passionate about what I'm doing. And if people get it, that's fine. If people don't get it, that's fine. You know what I mean? Like, I don't. It's such a waste of time to trying to convince anybody, and anybody that doesn't accept the work that I do, that's fine. You don't have to accept it. You don't have to listen to it, right? You don't have to listen to the podcast if you don't want, right? I'm not here. This is only for people that want to know what's going on. My work is approved by God, okay? Before I started becoming an astrologer, I did pray to God, okay? And God said, kill it, you know? He trusts me, because I'm truthful. And I only speak the truth. That's all I do. And this is not even a belief or anything. Astrology is not a belief or anything. It's what it is it's a tool for you to understand what is coming in. It's and I always say astrology to me is like the Titanic, okay? The Titanic didn't know that the glacier was there and it sank. Okay, you don't want to be the Titanic, okay? You want to know what's going on. You want to know there's a glacier coming up. You want to know what is coming up. Okay, you want to prepare. You want to be able to make shifts. You want to be able to make a left, make a right, strategize, right? Because that's all it is for me, strategy. And that's all it is. So I'm just here reporting what is going on with the weather and how to prepare for it. Like, you watch the news, right? And it tells you if it's going to rain, if it's going to be sunny, if it's going to, and well, I report the Astroweather, what's going on with the stars and the planets and how it affects us, right? And I am passionate about it. This is why I became an astrologer. And I go very deep in it. Okay, so it's not just basic astrology. I also know medical astrology, which that's super powerful, and other types of charts as well. So we have the Christianity there's, and then we have Rach, which is an asteroid of rich Italian that is also in Sagittarius, and it is at 20 degrees of Scorpio, and it's in the sign of Sagittarius. So it has to do with countries. And when this asteroid comes together with Christianity and the moon, um, there is something to do with it might not always be rich Italians. It could just be rich people, okay? People with money that are Christians, okay? And there's an emotion of how we feel. Um, and also we got Tai Chi also. Wow, we have a lot of asteroids here. Uh, Tai Chi here also, which has to do with big money in the sign of Sagittarius as well. Okay, it's at 11 degrees of community. And let me check this one here. And of course, we have peacock. Peacock is how you show off, how you strut yourself, how you put yourself out there. The peacock animal bird. And it's also in Sagittarius, okay? It's at 7 degrees of relationships. So this is about forming relationships within your community. You might live in a community where there's money, okay, because that Rach, which is rich Italian, is there sitting with the moon and Christianity. Maybe you live in a community where there's Christians or business people, right? Um, Another thing too here. So we talked about there, and that's in the 10th house of elevation. Okay, so this cluster looks here of Sagittarius. It looks very elevated, but it just kind of watch your judgmental of how you judge other people, because that's how you're going to be judged. We are a mirror of other people. A lot of times, what we talk about other people is how we feel about ourselves. And we need to come to truth with ourselves instead of being judgmental. So let's see here. So I do want to talk about the moon right now is squaring Saturn. Okay. So the moon is Sagittarius, and then we got Saturn and Pisces at the very last degree, or 29 degrees of Leo. And it is the final degree. It is already wrapping up. Okay, it really is. It's already packing its stuff and says, I'm out of here. You know, I've been here 3 years and I'm ready to go, you know, and out of Pisces. And I'm ready to enter Aries. Aries is going to enter. Aries, we're going to feel it more because it's ruled by Mars. It rules military. It rules competition. It rules leadership. Having to be exemplary. Having to be, what does it take to be a good leader? You know, we're having a lot of leadership problems right now. They say, you know, the whole Epstein file, they're like, you know, if you fire all the people that were involved in the Epstein list, that's literally every powerful leader. That's what I heard. It's literally every powerful leader, every politician, every business person, every pastor of the church, every banker. It's every person you can think of that has money, right? And you would have to fire all of them. And I said, well, then get new leaders. You know, obviously they were not fit to be a leader because now they can't be trusted, right? And I feel with this Saturn in Aries, there is going to be new leadership. Okay, there's going to be new leadership because we do need new leaders. Okay, and there's going to be firings and hirings. Okay, and even though it's in its fall, you know, Saturn in Aries is in its fall, but it could be that what's falling are the bad leaders, the bad characters, you know, and now we are hiring new leaders that we can trust, that has our back, that, you know, has respect. And it's not about perfectionism. It is about being exemplary. What would a good leader do in a situation for a community? How would it step up, right? And it's about exemplary, showing that you are that leader that deserves to be in that position, right? So the challenge here with Saturn and Pisces here and the moon, um, it's about responsibility. Okay, as it's ready to wrap up, there's some responsibility, major responsibility has been upon Pisces. Okay, and with this challenge with the moon and what we are communicating in Sagittarius, you know, I feel that the challenge here is that I feel that Saturn and Pisces, because they're challenging each other with the moon. So the Saturn feels some sort of way with the moon in Sagittarius, you know, with that cluster there with Christianity, where Saturn is talking to the moon in a challenge position and is saying, you know, you haven't been so trustworthy, Sagittarius. You haven't been so honest, you know, and it has probably something to do with religion. You know, you need to look within yourself and understand that you have not been honest, you have not been responsible, you have something to do with the 10th house, okay, um, and with countries and some sort of communication that needed to happen between Saturn. Saturn and Pisces are very grown up. Saturn and Pisces, with the 29 degree, that's a final degree, that's a critical degree, that's an analytic degree, that's a graduation degree, where a lot of Pisces, they have learned many, many lessons and is ready to wrap up. And a lot of Pisces are very mature right now, taking responsibility. They've taken a lot of responsibility. And they see when something is irresponsible and they will call it out, you know? Like I do we could see things right now, especially with we had I'll look in the chart right now, but uh I had talked about yesterday, I think on X, and about Pluto and I think it was a Pluto and Uranus. I think it was Pluto sextile Uranus. And it was about being able to see through. And but I'll look at the chart right now to see what's going on there. But other than that, right now, there is a challenge right now between the moon and Saturn. But the moon is about to wrap up in Sagittarius. So once it leaves Sagittarius, it's going to go into Capricorn. So then the moon's going to get into Capricorn. It's going to get a little bit more serious, the energy. And the moon in Capricorn and Saturn are going to get along because, water and earth, they get along. So, but right now there's a challenge, okay? It might be something ruling countries, okay? Ruling beliefs, different type of beliefs. It's kind of like Saturn and Pisces. I feel it does not trust the Sagittarius that rules beliefs. Like it says it believes one thing, but then it does another thing, or it says, I don't believe in rituals or something like that, and then behind closed doors, their mind is thinking rituals. You know what I mean? You don't need to do a ritual. You can just, based on how you think, okay, is how you can manifest things. And you might be like a holy Christian and so forth, but in your mind, you're thinking other things, and so Saturn is calling that out. Say you're a hypocrite, and so that could be something there. Um, Now, I did want to talk about this I love asteroids. You guys know I love asteroids. And so the asteroid here of, where did it go? It's of Abundantia. It just entered Taurus, okay? It just entered Taurus. And so Abundantia represents prosperity, flow of resources, natural wealth, and the energy of there is more than enough. It's not just money, it's the feeling of sustained overflow. Okay. Now, when it's placed in Taurus, it just entered, okay? We're in high value territory. So, Abundancia in Taurus, ruled by Venus, okay? It governs money and material security, self worth, sensual pleasure, stability, long term assets, land, food, beauty, tangible value. And when Abundancia sits here, abundance, wants to become real, touchable, bankable, and buildable. It's so interesting because today's word, I always pull a word. I have a word deck, and I always pull a word to see what's the frequency for today, and it's Venus. Okay, so Venus is the ruler of Taurus. So there we go. And so this is not lottery energy, okay? This is cultivated wealth. So abundance through stability, prosperity grows slowly but steadily. Think vineyards, real estate, legacy brands, not overnight hype. So money is increased through consistency, patience, quality over quantity, physical assets. This is compound interest energy. So wealth mirrors your self-worth, okay? Taurus rules value, and Abundantia amplifies it. So it's being amplified in the sign of Taurus. That rules what? Real estate. It rules marriages. It rules beauty. It rules food, supermarkets, all of that. Okay. So it's about knowing your worth and charging properly. And it just, it invests in itself, it invests in others. Okay. It's not really so much about discounts right now, to tell you the truth, unless you want to be like super generous, because it is about worth, you know. So abundance expands when it's in abundancia. Okay. So if self worth dips, income may reflect that as well. Okay. So also sensory prosperity. So this placement also attracts luxury, beauty, fine food like escargot. What is it? What is it? Uh, I think it's the snails or something, or what is it? Is that French food? Anyway, I've never ate it, but I think I was recommended once to try it. Escargot. Yeah, escargot, right? Those there was this one Virgo lady. She was, I think, an attorney, and she told me to try some escargot with lemon. That it tastes good with lemon. Squirt some lemon on it, and it tastes really good. I'm like, ew. I don't know about that. To me, I mean, like I love sushi, but I can't taste eel. Like, ooh, that I don't like eel at all. But anyway, so we're talking about fine food here, high quality environments, comfort, art, jewelry, earth based wealth. So it often favors careers tied to beauty industry, finance, luxury branding, agriculture, design, fashion, voice work. Okay, Taurus rules the throat. Culinary or hospitality. Okay, so those are some of the careers that are favored when it comes to Taurus, but it could also rule anything with like food and luxury and beauty and high quality environments, high quality products, durability, trustworthy products. So nature's money magnetism, there's often a calm, grounded financial instinct. So they understand value intuitively. They don't chase, they attract through steadiness. Okay. So the shadow expression, because we got to talk about the shadow. Okay. If unconscious, this can turn into hoarding, fear of financial loss, over attachment to comfort, refusing to evolve out of security. The lesson: abundance grows through circulation, not stagnation. Okay, we need to learn how to circulate, and this is what I do when I get money. This is a tip that I do. When I get money, I say, this money will circulate to me once again, and or thank you, God, for this money as I circulated, and more of it will come, and it's about circulating. Okay, that word circulating is actually a word that billionaires use, and it is when you start hoarding. Okay, when you start fearing financial loss, when you start getting over attachment to comfort, that's not good. Okay, when you start getting too comfortable, that's when you got to change. You got to change something, because that's not good. That's the shadow. Okay, that you feel like right now. I feel ingratitude because honestly, like I don't feel like I owe anything right now. Well, at least not for this month, right? But I feel everything's paid off and I'm good and all that. And um, but I feel that it's not enough for me. you know? And I'm always like, this is, well, if you have Capricorn, strong Capricorn, what is enough, right? Um, because the goat is always going after more, and more and more and more. Once you have this, okay, I want more. Now I want more. Now let's do it this way. Now let's, and that's good because those are ideas that are being created. And for me, it's not just about one business. I want to make multiple source of income from many sources. And the reason I say that is because I have my money house in Gemini. And so when, Gemini has to do, think Donald Trump, how many businesses does he have around the world? He has many of them, right? Gemini doesn't just have one. They have two, three, four, five, 10, 100, And that's why I'm in different platforms as well, and I want to make income from different platforms as well. Okay. It's not just in one platform. That's why I know Spanish, right? And I have two podcasts. That's very Gemini. But I know the demand. That's why I've done my research. And if I didn't know that there was such a high demand in the Latino GDP in the United States only in the United States. I'm hearing Meta for some reason. I don't know why Meta's coming down. If it wasn't so big, the Latino GDP, then I would not invest in another podcast, right? Um, which I love podcasting. I do. I love talking. That very Gemini too. Um, but because the demand is so high and the research and everything in the Latino GDP, I have the ability to elevate the GDP just basically through astrology, through the planets. And a lot of them are already on board. A lot of them are like to learn. And when you know this, it's so powerful. Okay. You make the right decisions. You make more money. You escape situations. Okay. I've said it, and a lot of astrologers know this too, that Hitler had his own astrologer. Okay. And he escaped certain situations. I mean, eventually they killed him, or I think he died. I don't know how, um, but he had an astrologer, a private astrologer, that helped him dodge bullets, that helped him dodge situations. And it's good to have an astrologer, that can help you how to get out of situations like that. This is why I'm going to have, you know, this is why I talk about the podcast, but the podcast is for the whole collective, but it will help you to make at least, it's, I put on there like golden nuggets and what you can do. Sometimes it's that one golden nugget that you needed that just changed your life. And if that is good enough for you, then that's good enough for you, right? But I would suggest a personal, private, tailored reading that goes based on, tailored on your birthday, because you're not like everybody else. So, but if the podcast just is good enough for you, then that's good, right? And so, this is why I do it, and this is why I'm doing it in Spanish, especially with the Latinos. They're losing so much money on the table just by not applying astrology with marketing, okay? Because I also know branding and marketing. And it's very powerful. And, like the podcast, where I'm talking right now is not for free, okay? I'm investing in it. And I'm just saying this so you guys can know that I'm putting my money where my mouth is, and I'm investing in the podcast. I'm investing in myself. Like I'm putting money into this. And the podcast is not free, and I chose the pro level, okay, only because it gives me the option of having two podcasts, right? And because of algorithms, I have to separate both. I can't just do it like Spanish and English, how I was doing it in Swellcast. When those that were following me in Swellcast podcast, that was just free. It was more like kind of like a hobby. But this I have to separate because of the algorithms, and the only way I could have two podcasts, Spanish and English, right, would be at a pro level, right? So that's money that's coming out of my pocket. and it's not cheap. Okay. But it's worth it. Okay. So I'm not complaining about price or nothing like that. I'm just saying it's worth it because it is very worthy. It is, it gives me my ROI. Well, eventually it will give me my ROI. I'm just starting off. I started off from zero. Okay. And so, but a lot of people already know where I'm at. Hopefully, I'm going to be doing more marketing on it as well. And hopefully, you can tell all your friends as well of where I am and what I'm podcasting and so forth. And even though I will still be posting it in social media, but I would like for you guys to share with your friends that want to know or have businesses and want to know how to move better. Okay, how to unpack, their business based on astrology. Okay, so that is why I do this. And like I said, I'm investing money in the podcast at Podbean at a pro level. Okay, and that's only, and I did that just to have a Spanish podcast, to have an extra channel, because the basic level doesn't offer that. And also I have AI capability and stuff like that. But that's just to post the podcast. It's, everything I'm saying here, this is just me. So we talked about the shadow expression here. Let's talk about the higher expression, okay? Um, with Taurus in Abundantia, okay, when it's evolved, okay, this is generational wealth building. This is slow empire construction. This is elegant financial power. This is the ability to create sustainable prosperity. It's the energy of I build once and it lasts. And I've been talking about that during Uranus and Taurus, which is also wrapping up for the next following weeks. And anybody that opened up a business during Uranus and Taurus was going to last for a long time. Okay? Because Taurus is about long lasting, it's about stability. So that is what's going on with the asteroid of Abundantia in the sign of Taurus. It just entered. So we're going to have a lot of themes that have to do with money and self-worth, stability, assets, real estate, okay, marriages, okay. For Taurus, it's a good thing, or wherever you have Taurus in your chart. I'm a Taurus rising. So, my Taurus rising is on my first house of how I look, how I'm perceived, business like, and, just, I don't know nothing about Bitcoin or anything like that, but I like to see how it transits and stuff. And, like money themes and Wall Street, all of that is Taurus. Just businesses, supermarkets. If you're a Taurus, you're probably shopping a lot at supermarkets. I know I do. I said it. Speaking of supermarkets, I said there. Erewhon is starting to. For those that don't know, Erewhon is that fancy organic supermarket, right? Very expensive. They said one of the most expensive supermarkets. And of course, they have one in Beverly Hills. They have one in Pacific Palisades. They have one, I think, in Encino or somewhere. Um, and they have one in Manhattan Beach. Okay, that's the one I want to go to. That's the closest one to me. And there's another one that is opening in West Hollywood. Okay, um, and they're opening in West Hollywood, which is so interesting because West Hollywood is where I used to cut my hair. uh, my hair, where they cut hair to the celebrities. I haven't been there for years, but um, so that when I hear West Hollywood, I hear that. So another thing too is that they're supposed to open in Orange County, but I don't know if that's going to happen. People are saying that they should go to what is it, the Irvine Spectrum or something. I've never been over there, but I think there's a lot of Asians down there, and over there in Irvine, and it's part of Orange County. So I like to see maybe somewhere in Orange County, maybe Newport Beach or something. I don't know, Newport Coast, my dream city. But anyway, um, And so when we're talking about Erewhon, which is the supermarket that is expensive, right? It's a good thing for them because Abundantia and Taurus has to do with food, right? And this luxury, this stability, um, of being known for let me drink some coffee here. Being known for luxurious and worthy supermarkets and having really good fruits and vegetables. And I love entering, I don't know, I don't know if it's a tourist thing, but I love entering supermarkets where the food is very healthy, where maybe other people don't notice it, but I do. I don't like entering supermarkets where, the food is like the tomatoes getting rotten or who knows what's been there. For me, it makes a difference. I love like organic food and seeing like very colorful fruits and especially Erewhon. I mean, I think they have one in Santa Monica too. I don't know if it was true or not, but they were saying there was cockroach in Santa Monica. I don't know about that. But, at Erewhon, okay? So I don't know if it was just for propaganda or maybe there was roaches. I don't know. I would hope not, but, because it is Santa Monica. So anyway, but they open locations in like really bougie areas. It's kind of like Whole Foods. They're following that whole pattern of Whole Foods, where if there's a Whole Foods in your community, then it's an elevated town, right? Because they don't have Whole Foods in the ghetto. They don't in poor cities. They don't have them. But in Whole Foods, it was known for being in elevated areas. Nice areas. And I think the closest one to us is it Whole Foods? Yeah, it's in Torrance. I think that's the one I used to go to. In Torrance, I think it was Whole Foods, right? Yeah, it was Whole Foods. Yeah, it's been so long that I've entered that store. Um, so we're talking about supermarkets that are luxurious, food and so forth, restaurants as well. And so, you know, I'd like to, like I said, I'd like to do a trip to Manhattan Beach and check out Erewhon because I've never been there. And some of the, not everything's expensive. Okay, there are some things that are expensive. I like to go in there and at least buy me some flowers or something and just kind of check it out. Because I am a very supermarket type of person. Okay, I am Taurus rising, yes. And also for those that know what progress charts are, progress charts are, think of it like a progress report in your high school or junior high. And it tells you how you're doing, right? If, maybe you get a report card right now, and then 6 months from now, you get another report card, right? So you're evolving, you're growing, right? So maybe if you weren't good at science, maybe in 6 months, all of a sudden you become a scientist. Or all of a sudden you know all the planets or something like that. And it took a while, maybe a couple of 6 months, but now your progress report shows that, hey, there's improvement, right? Well, that's what happens with progress reports, these progress charts. And they evolve is how you evolve throughout time. And so in my progress chart, I have that I'm not a Pisces. I have that I'm a Taurus, right? So I show as a Taurus sun, a Mercury in Taurus, and a Venus in Taurus. That's a whole lot of Taurus, okay? And so that I'm very, very bold and very worthy. I know my worth. Anybody that tells me you're not worthy, I'm like, yeah, right. You know what I mean? Like like I will like beat you down in, you know what I mean? Like I will show you. Okay? I don't need to prove myself. It's whoever gets it, fine. Whoever doesn't get it, that's fine. But I know who I am, right? I know who I am. I know how much I'm worth. I'm worth a lot, a lot, a lot. And, you know, um, it is what it is. And so But it's not about proving my worth or nothing like that. But when you have that much Taurus, okay, you're very, your frequency, you might not live like in a big old house, but your frequency is very elevated. Your frequency is very worthy. Okay, Taurus and the ox as well. I'm also an ox in Chinese astrology. Is worth a lot. It rules, food and stability and real estate, Wall Street. Okay, a lot of Taurus, a lot of luxurious brands are ruled by Taurus and Pisces as well. I found out that I think, yeah, Prada. I think Prada's an ox, either an ox or a Pisces. A lot of these Italian brands, I think it was like Prada, Fendi, um, Louis Vuitton, uh, Dolce Gabbana. Okay, they're all ox. Okay, they're all ox, and they have Pisces as well. So it was interesting to find that out, and it's only because the imprint energy when you wear clothing, and let's say I'm an ox, and then Prada's an ox, it's good to wear Prada, and Louis Vuitton is good to buy me a Louis Vuitton purse, a real one. And I say that because I received a download saying no more imitation. And I'm like, okay, well that means I'm gonna get paid, right? Um, So if they want me to wear real, then not that I wear fake, but there is this one bag that I do have. It's kind of like a little cart and stuff, and it looks like very Louis Vuitton. But I just you know, I wear it because I use it because I bought it on sale. But you know, it is what it is. You know what I mean? If people want me to wear the real thing, then pay me my money. There's a lot of people that owe me money, people in high places. So, they got to be responsible, right? Because especially somebody, an influencer like me, that wears brands that might not be authentic, right, is going to damage the brand. Okay, because I have high influence. So, I mean, if it's somebody that's, it's not an influencer, it's just, a Joe Schmo, or uh, just a regular girl that maybe is not an influencer, doesn't do videos in social media. It's nobody really knows about. You know what I mean? I think that's fine. But if you're an influencer that people know, that people follow, okay, that you're in every platform, you're a podcaster, you're putting your name out there, plus you already are a high influencer as a 33, because they're the most highest influencers, and you're not wearing the authentic brand, that's not good. But if you are wearing an authentic brand, then you can elevate the brand, especially as we enter luxurious times with Jupiter and Leo. It's going to be so on brand with luxury, okay? And so you want people to, especially somebody that's high influencer, you want somebody that's going to be drinking your juice. You're going to be somebody that is wearing your clothes. Somebody, a high influencer, because I've always said that the clothes doesn't make me, I make the clothes, right? And when you're high influence and when you're super worthy, because you've done the work, not because you feel entitled, because you've done the work to become who you become. And I think that quote comes from Jim Rohn, said, don't make money because you want to be rich. Make money because, you know, don't build a business because you want to be rich, you want to be wealthy. That's part of it. But you want to become the person, okay, that owns that business. You want to become the person. It's about becoming a person that is proud of owning a business, that is proud of making money, and so forth. Don't do it just for the money, right? I'm hearing society, the word society is coming down. But do it, open that business because of who you're going to become, right? You're going to become a different person, right? So money comes, money goes, it's life, right? But who you are, that stays. And so when you become this person that you never thought you could imagine to become. I think that's a wonderful thing. And that is the goal. Okay. That is the goal, to become that person that you never thought you could become, but you became. Right. Never give up on yourself. And I'm still, I'm still not there, but I've accomplished a lot. And, but when do I become, when am I satisfied? In other words, you know what I mean? I'm always looking for more. I'm always trying to elevate. I'm always trying to ascend for more. And I was born ambitious. So, and that's fine. So that's what's happening with Abundantia and Taurus. So there's going to be a lot of themes with that, which is so Louis Vuitton too. I do gotta say, their bags are very Taurus. Um, and let me see what else. So Uranus is still here in Taurus, and yeah, and it was saying, yeah, that's good you talked about that, because it's in the third house of communication, where Uranus and Taurus is, where it's wrapping up. So it's about communicating. I did want to talk about, let me just jump in real quick here on Pluto. Um, Pluto, oh, that's interesting. So Pluto right now is squaring Abundantia. Pluto in Aquarius. So, so there might be something that might be abundant, okay, because there does real estate, and there could be higher prices of, maybe rentals or something, and Pluto is saying, whoa, 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 it could end something, okay, with either contracts or this is where the people are rising, okay, with Pluto in Aquarius, coming against maybe high prices. Maybe that's too abundant, or that's too much, or something to do with that. And the people are rising up. So that's that square there, okay. And where we have Pluto in Aquarius at 4 degrees of stability, it's, wow, it's in the house of community, in the 11th house. Okay, this is the people. This is where we participate. The 11th house, it has to do with friendships and groups and acquaintances. Um, it looks at what we desire in life and our goals, as well as the willingness to work for common goals. Okay. So there's a focus on putting the interest of the group or community ahead of one's personal need. Okay. So it's not about you, it is about the community, right? It's about putting the interests of the community first. It rules also clubs and organizations relating to career and social standings. Also, it has to do with humanitarian interest here, social reform, philanthropic organizations. It has to do also with anything with ideas and actions. It could be politics as well, social advocacy and groups. Okay. So anything with groups and society, okay, as a collective, um, and versus the individual, right? We don't do things by ourselves. We do them collectively as a group, as a community. And it is squaring here the Abundantia and Taurus. It could be another thing too, that maybe Abundantia and Taurus is gaining all this money and is doing it by itself. And over here, Aquarius and Pluto say, hey, why are you doing that by yourself? We should be helping you, or we want to be part of that. How are you making all that money, and this and this. So it could be something like that, but and it brings a challenge, or it could just be a challenge, something to do with real estate, okay, where people are rising up, groups are rising up. This is like revolutionary, okay, where it just jumped in at 4 degrees at Pluto, which is so interesting because it's conjuncting right now exactly on my Jupiter. So I was born with Jupiter at 4 degrees, where Pluto's at right now, in the sign of Aquarius. So I'm having an exact Jupiter Pluto conjunction. That's very powerful. Very, very powerful. And it's on my midheaven, which is my career, my 10th house, my status, my fame. So right now, I think that's why I'm feeling very optimistic and very powerful because of the astrology, because of this conjunction. It's really super powerful. And I wasn't born with this placement. This is a transit that happens once in a lifetime. Okay. It doesn't happen all the time. There's a Jupiter Pluto conjunction does not happen every time unless you were born with it. But I was not born with a conjunction with Pluto and Jupiter. A trine I was, but not a conjunction. Conjunction is a little bit more powerful because it's about two frequencies of the same frequency, and it comes together and it builds this kapoom, and you just blow up, and so I hope that my social media blows up. I hope the podcast blows up. And I'm just feeling right now very good, very, very good, very blessed. And nothing's perfect, but I feel blessed. And yeah, that's what we got going on. So anyway, this was a pretty long podcast, but just wanted to just give a little bit of what's going on. I will be doing the next podcast. I would say maybe in the next 2 days or so. It just depends how I'm feeling and what I got going on. Okay, because I am working on my website right now, and plan on putting it out there before the horse year enters. I want to get everything planned out before the horse, because once that horse enters, you got to be ready. You got to have already a plan. You got to know where you're going, because the horse knows where it's going. It's going really fast, and it knows where it's going. Okay, and if you don't know where you're going, it's gonna stomp on you. Okay, so it's good to plan things ahead. You know, get organized, get things what you want to do, and so forth, because that horse is gonna carry us through. Okay, is that the snake transformed us, right? A lot of things ended, a lot of things were transformed, and now the horse carries us through. It's saying, okay, now let's go, right? Let's make that decision. Let's go jump into this. Let's take a leap in this. Don't be afraid. We're fire. Let's go, No more stalling, no more excuses, no more just being stuck, no more just waiting. We're not doing none of that already. All of that, we shedded all of that with the snake, and we got rid of what we needed to get rid of, and now we move forward, right, in a new beginning. So hopefully everybody's having a great day, and I will talk to you guys soon.